Sally. She's Fulyana Osborne, and this is Inside Exec. Today we're continuing our discussion with Geraldine King about mental health and wellness in the workplace.
Listening to you and looking at my experience and exposure to this area over different companies and time, I've noticed just listening to you how much it has advanced, and it's a pleasure to hear that advancement. And it's very sensible, but it's also helping the whole community, not just the organisation people work in. So having a person that is coming back to work, being 100% productive and being happy, it's also going to be telling people this is a great place to work.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
So the benefits are enormous.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really good. I know some organisation, you mentioned the structure, they used to have what they called champions in the different parts of the organisation. They kind of making sure your person there. I don't know if that's still being done, but that was an attempt to have someone on there, but it was more about the physical side rather than the mental situation. It's like, have we got the right furniture, are people having enough breaks and screens and eyes, it's sort of things have moved on from there.
We still do those things too, because ergonomics is another still big part of the health and safety agenda.
Right.
And when people sit for a long time in organisations like financial organisations, law firms, etc., that ergonomics is something that does get called out. But it also, what I've noticed in that space too, and that hasn't changed over many years, is that the more stressed people are at work and the more they've got to do, and the tighter their muscles are, that's the time that they're likely to suffer injuries.
Yeah. That's why it's even more important they have the right chair ergonomics to support them.
That's right.
So in the proactive sense, if we look broadly at holistics, is there a move towards looking at the physical activities that they do while they're at the workplace, like doing the fun runs, doing the corporate games, and diet, what they're eating?
Absolutely. So I think wellbeing programs that are becoming more sophisticated as well, so that people aren't just looking at a random selection of programs, but are looking more strategically around what a holistic program looks like. Often it is around personal resilience. There's, I think, Lucy Brogden, the Mental Health Commissioner, who I heard her speak recently about the personal and organisational factors that impact on resilience. And I guess what people in wellness do, health, safety and wellness, often look at personal factors. So those are the factors that a person can have some influence over. Can the diet be improved? Can they exercise a bit more? Can they sleep better? Are they engaged with other people, with their own communities? So I think that's what the wellness people can do, where wellness then needs to interlink with the learning and development people who may be educating people on how to be more efficient with their time at work. Is there enough people to do the role, to do the job, so that people aren't so time poor? Because from a wellness point of view, no matter how we try to help people with their individual wellness, if the organisation's not well and not treating people from a place of fairness, then all the wellness in the world is not going to counteract that. So they've really got to balance and work together.
Do you see any gaps in the programs that are around at the moment?
Look, I think it would be an untruth to say that every single thing you do works every time. I think you've got to be able to roll with the punches on some things. Some things seem to resonate and work, and other things, no matter how much advertising you throw at it or how much information you put out there around it, it just doesn't flow for whatever reason. I think you've just got to keep asking questions of your population, trying some things, be unafraid that some things will fail too. But I think there is increasingly some great networking organisations around wellness, health and safety. There is too many conferences now to even think about going to. But the information about how to become more strategic in programs is certainly out there for people, and not necessarily all of it really expensive to tap into. So I think for every organisation, large or small, if you find the right tools and resources, they're there
Mhm.
and can help people who are unsure about where to start on that journey.
Has technology changed the way you manage your program?
Yeah, increasingly that will be
Mhm.
the case. And again, industry dependent too. I've worked in some industries where your challenge is, for example, in an electricity company that I worked for, the challenge was always how can we get these people on site in the one place on the one day to get anything done. That was always difficult. So you would be trying to send emails, videos through emails, etc., to reach that population. For other places, increasingly gamification and programs where they have a reward system, a tangible reward system for people. What's in it for me? There's a lot of what's in it for me, even in wellness. Oh yes, I'll turn up to that because it looks like there's going to be tea and food at that event.
That's right.
So I think it's a combination. Even with gamification, I don't think anything will replace some kind of champion, people who are champions who engage people in activities. Gamification is not for everybody either, but it has to be. You have to just hit the right mark for the right population. And having said that, even in the one organisation, not one size is going to fit all business groups, as they can be quite diverse.
So you offer different things so that with the hope that you cover most of them.
That's right.
One of my clients, if you like, his organisation have got to the point where they have, not up to date, on their Wii games or whatever they are, and they even got, they got a very, very modern office environment. And they have that, and people initially said, well, we're going to put this in place. And they said, I'll be like the gym, nobody would want to, we don't have time, etc. So there's, I guess, director of that division decided, oh, we're going to give it a go, we'll give it a go. And he decided he's going to be the first one to go there. And it was visible deliberately, so it was glass. So what did, he goes in there and he started doing that. And then people weren't coming, somewhere curious but hesitant. He put a big thing on the board and he said, who's going to be the boss?
I love that.
And he actually energized them all to come in. And there was fitness and there was different games, and then there was a lot of participation from people to say what they would like to see.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, well, then, we're supposed to get away from the screens, but this is a bit further, and they checked the lighting. So they went into technical detail. They were a technical organisation. Next thing, the boss said, okay, then, so now what about your eye exercises? And somebody said, what? Says, eye exercises. So their director of health and wellness said, okay, this is it. So he sent it around and they were doing eye exercises, blink and look like. I thought it was so cute.
I think you've nailed it though, Fulyana. The boss encouraged it. And again,
he drove it.
He drove it. And you do need senior leadership to drive these programs and to be visible. We tap into a global wellness program in a company that I work with. They encourage a huge global challenge that they want all companies to link into, and one of the things that they drive is that senior leadership doesn't walk, or some kind of challenge or message, or it is about walking the talk and demonstrating that this is the sort of organisation that you want to work with. And I think without that, it can be much more problematic to drive.
Have you had across all of those experiences mentors?
Accidental or informal. When you're really young and in a young and female in a male-dominated industry in health and safety, sometimes it can be very hard to be heard. So
we weren't young, but we were female. We were in the construction
industry. So yeah. Well, I'm thinking back to to the very early days. You are very tentative about how you approach, but you learn.
The safety training officer at a construction site in Chatswood, which is in suburban Sydney, and at that stage it was still 3 stories hole in the ground, and the sheds were another 3 stories up, and my training shed was the end of the row of the sheds. So by the time they got to me, they'd climbed probably 4 or 5 stories of wooden rickety stairs, and they'd get to the top, they'd open the shed door and they'd look inside and they'd say, it's a girl. Look around and say, yes, and?
Yes, I've had lots of that. One company that I first worked years ago, and I can remember being young and very enthusiastic and thought I could make all these changes. And I can remember the CEO of the company, he'd come to the health and safety meeting and we'd start the meeting and he'd say, we'd start to talk about things that we needed to do, and then he'd say, just stop there. Geraldine, do you know how many people that I'll have to sack when you want to implement this program? Have you seen a grown man cry?
Oh,
you know what it's like? Oh, it was just overwhelming. And then he'd go on to tell us all how his mother in Dorrigo lifted cows with her bare hands, and she didn't worry about manual handling. She didn't worry about ergonomics. Our partner company in Zambia, they can't. When you look through the glass window, you can't even see the people for the smoke. They don't worry about, breathing protection so it was a constant battle every week. I
can't even imagine how frustrating that would have been.
I used to do a lot of deep breathing before I got out of the car to go there. But anyway, things have changed a lot.
Yeah, definitely have. Yeah.
So one of the questions we do ask all our guests, and it's sort of kind of still on topic, what do you see? And there's no right or wrong answer, we're just interested in people's responses. What do you see as the difference or the similarities between a mentor, a coach, and an accountability partner?
Okay. Well, I think if I start with the coach, that a coach is there certainly not to give you the answers, but encourage you, or at least from a confidence point of view, maybe listen to what you have to say and then help you find it and grow from there, and perhaps help you build your confidence in that direction. A mentor, I think, is for me somebody who can help you find the right answers or give you the benefit of their experience.
Yep.
An accountability partner, I would think, is helping to keep you on track.
It's just interesting to hear people's responses because we have very different views about where they all fit. It's just been intriguing to hear what people think when they think about those roles, and it's interesting in the way they relate it back to what help they've had through their careers. And often with the accountability partner, it's more for people who've always worked on their own.
Right.
And so they've got no sounding board, and they don't feel that they're in an environment where they would seek a coach or seek a mentor, but they will have an accountability partner, so someone who can just keep them on track, as you say. I think for the ones I've seen, that it becomes more than that. It also seems to become a combination of all of them, which is interesting too, that we need that outside sounding board.
Oh, I think it is.
And in terms of what we've been talking about today, in terms of mental health, it is vital. I think that we have that outlet. It isn't a judgment outlet. It isn't a helping outlet in terms of here's the answer. But it is an opportunity for you to just have the verbal diarrhea, if that's what you need to do, and then sort out what you want to take away from it.
I think most of the time any of us, or three of us, are experienced in this, is that when sometimes you're just hearing yourself saying it, you come with the answer you want.
Absolutely.
It's not really about anyone doing anything. It's more about, I said it now, I worked it out as I was saying it because I know you've got my back. Just the
It's
presence,
interesting too when I talk to people about talking in public. And I'll say, write down your speech. So they write their speech, and I'll say, now say it. But no, I can just practice it. I can just run it through in my head. You can do that. But when you have to physically say it, you'll find that there are words that you've written down that you can say in your head till the cows come home, but you can't get your lips around it when you've got to go and say it in front of a group of people. So we're going to practice that. And I think that the extension of that is that the thoughts that spin around in your head need sometimes to be verbalised so that you can get them into some sort of perspective.
Again, listening to, I've always been a believer in wellness and health at work and everywhere else. But listening to you, I'm more encouraged about how far we can already, and also what a rewarding job it is. It's not really a job, it's a profession, and it's so rewarding. So anyone listening and interested, would you recommend?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was thinking about that my whole journey, actually, recently, because I've got a daughter who's in Year 12, one who's just finished uni, and my youngest is in Year 12, and someone asked me if how I'd feel if she chose nursing.
Yes.
And I said, because I know it gets a really bad rap, it's not particularly well paid, but I said I would be absolutely delighted because for me that was the most valuable thing that I could have ever done, and it really helped to provide me with a direction I never ever thought that I would go. And leading into health and safety, I would recommend it for anybody. I think it can have its frustrations, but I wouldn't change that. There's something else that you said, Fulyana, that made me think too about the journey of health and safety.
How far it's come.
Yeah, and the mentor situation. One of the close friends I met at the team that I worked with, that I really did have a lot of mentors. We still bounce things off each other.
That's great.
Very regularly.
Yes.
We send each other, if a particular provider goes to visit her at her company, she'll say, I think you should meet this person, that person.
That's
and then
great.
and it fits or it doesn't. But I think those networks, whether it be an official mentor or people just that that you respect their approach to their work, are absolutely invaluable.
It's definitely some of the things we covered in other podcasts about knowledge sharing, so you're doing that, and success transfer. Because something worked for you, even like the provider was the right person, or a program that you tried, then I'm in a different organisation, different industry, but we both want to achieve the same objective, and I can maybe tailor it or tweak it.
Absolutely.
And it saves a lot of time and trial.
Absolutely.
So that's a great thing that you have that network.
Well, and very lucky in the health and safety space, because people love to share, and they're not competitive about. In my experience, they're not competitive about their sharing. They want They want it out there, and they don't feel like it's my special thing. I don't want to share it. People are very great.
That's how everything should be.
Isn't it interesting though that area of resource management has that sense across all industries? I don't think there's any other area that I can think of. Recruitment-wise, people are very protective of the methods they use, the questions they ask, the tests that they give. It's just interesting that it's developed that way.
Well, I think people can go for awards, or their companies can go for awards, and maybe there is a level of competition there, but I've never found it.
No. The knowledge sharing across the industries is quite clear. We've seen that with others that we've talked to.
Yeah.
If you could do anything at all,
Magic one stuff.
Yeah, anything at all, any career, any pastime, any activity.
Well, I've done some counselling. I am going to be starting a diploma in positive psychology this year. I kind of like the idea that one day of coaching and wellbeing and in what I do in a kind of teaching sense or coaching sense, perhaps, maybe. Who knows?
You get that pit of the stomach excitement when you think
so.
about it.
I think so. I think
it's great to have that.
I think you're always, or I'm always thinking, about what you might do in the next transition in your life. Not necessarily, but it's nice to keep learning.
Well, I think you should always have something that you'd like to do at that stage.
Yeah, well, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's good, because if you're getting that feeling and you're committing time and energy to the studying on top of a full-time job, that you must have that passion about it.
Or you have the I have to keep studying because you never feel quite like you're on top of it. Could be a bit of both.
That's a good thing though, because it is true. We never know everything ever.
Information's everywhere. You might as well be learning all the time.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the information sharing across the industry. In a broader sense, in this country, do you see that we are in the leading group of looking after our workforce across the world?
I would think so.
In comparison to other developed countries?
Look, the Canadians are always excellent.
Yeah.
Of course, those Scandinavians are always pretty good at everything. But I think we're doing better and better. We still have too many deaths in the workplace. We're an advanced country, and I think people, if it's the road toll or if it's the amount of people that died at festivals, drug-related problem, it gets a lot of attention, whereas people seem to still expect that from time to time people will die at work. It
That's
shouldn't
a
be.
very poor expectation.
Yeah. Very poor expectation.
Yeah.
I think we do very well, but I think there's a long way to go.
Is
Particularly in
there
something
anywhere you look to as the innovative, the leading edge?
state in Australia
No,
or
anywhere at all?
country? Oh, look, I think a lot of interesting things come out of Canada. They seem to, if we go back to the mental health space, they seem to have been on the cutting edge of looking at a systemic approach to mental health long before, in the same way physical health was looked at before anybody else was doing it. They have some great information that exists that they must thrown money at it over a long period of time. I think they seem to be up there with their information.
So that's really, really interesting, and I learned a lot too, where we at.
Got anything you'd like to tell us before?
No, thank you very
wind
much
up?
for inviting me and giving me lots of things to go away and think about too. Think about accountability partners.
That's right.
So thank you very much.
Our pleasure. So we thank Geraldine for her time and sharing her expertise with us. I'm Kim Bailey, she's Fulyana Osborne, and this is Inside Exec.